Today is Friday and it's the 17th of July 2020. Okay, take your homework out that you did yesterday, please, and pencils, and then you mark. Answers are coming up. Okay, you had to change the following words to the past tense. And you had to write it in your book. Write cook becomes cooked, ed. Jump with ed, jumped. Paint, painted. Kick, kicked. Taught, taughted. Play, played. Watch, watched. Look, looked. Pick, picked. Shock, shocked. There you are. That's your answers from your homework. Okay, today a nice Friday surprise. Nothing else but relax and listen. That's what you're going to do. So please sit down and just listen. A story is coming up for you. Okay, are you ready? Let me just see. The name of the story today is Puss in Boots. Okay. Just want to see if I got it right from the start. Okay, Puss in Boots. Are you ready? Relax, sit back, listen. One day, Jan, Hans, and Robin, they were three brothers, and they were the sons of a miller. When their father died, he left his mill to Jan, the eldest son, his donkey to Hans, but to the youngest son, Robin, he left his cat. Now, Puss was a very fine cat, but when Robin saw his brothers going off to work at the mill, he wondered what he should do for a living. "Oh, Puss, I'm very fond of you, but I can't even buy you fish and milk." All of a sudden, Puss answered back, "Don't worry." And he twirled his long whiskers and tail. "I'm clever enough for both of us. Just do as I tell, and you will be well." Huh. Robin was surprised. "First of all, you have to make me a pair of strong boots and give me a hat and a sack." Robin was so surprised that he didn't know what the Puss was planning, but he didn't have any ideas of his own, so he did what Puss asked him to do. So he made him a little pair of boots, and he found a hat and an empty sack for his cat. Puss said, "These will do very well. And the boots are excellent." So Puss put them on and he threw the sack over his shoulder, and then he got off, put the hat on his head, and he waved goodbye to Robin. Robin watched him walk up towards the lane to an empty space of field. There, the cat went, he went off to an empty piece of land. When he reached a certain piece of land, he put the sack down on the grass and he popped it open with a stick so that the stick supported the sack to keep it open. Then he put some parsley in it, and then he tied a long string to the stick. Right, then he took the end of the string in his paw, and then he crept behind a bush, hiding and waited. After a while, three little plumpy rabbits came out of their burrow and they looked into the sack. "What smells like parsley?" said the one. "It looks like parsley," said the second. "Let's find out." They all three crept into the sack and soon they were nibbling the parsley. "Now's my chance," murmured Puss, and he gave the string a sharp pull. Oh, this closed the sack, and with the rabbits inside, he jumped up from the bush and took the sack over his back and went off. He went to the king's palace and he demanded to see His Majesty. The footman at the door thought it is rather strange to see a cat asking for the king, but he took the cat to the king's room. There, Puss made an elegant and graceful bow. "Oh, I have brought you a present of some rabbits for my master, the Marquis of Carabas, Your Majesty," he said. "Oh, that is very kind," replied the king. "Oh, give my compliments to your master, the Carabas, the Marquis of Carabas, and take here is a gold coin for yourself." With that coin, Puss bought himself a new coat, and then he hurried down to his master. The next trick the clever cat was to set up was this. He has put some wood in a trap, and inside the sack he was putting some wood in his sack, and then he scattered grain inside it. Not long after that, two pigeons came along and they started eating the grain inside the sack. As quick as lightning, Puss pulled the string and caught the birds. These he took to the king with another kind message from the Marquis of Carabas. A little while after this, Puss heard the news that the king and his daughter were going to drive by the river the next day. So he ran to his master and he said, "Now you listen to me. Robin, make your way to the river tomorrow for a swim and good fortune will come over you." Robin followed Puss' advice, but while he was bathing, Puss took his clothes and he hid it behind a bush. Before long, there came the king's coach. It passed by, and all of a sudden, the cat jumped into the road. "Stop, stop!" he cried. "The Marquis of Carabas has his clothes stolen while he was bathing in the river." Ooh! The king was distressed to hear this, and at once he sent his servants to fetch the Marquis a grand suit from the palace. When Robin dressed himself in the smart suit, he looked very handsome, and he thanked the king for this kindness. The king asked Robin to join him and his daughter in the coach, and Robin and the princess immediately fell in love. Puss quickly ran down the road and called some men who were busy cutting some corn there. He had a message for them. He said, "Ha! You must tell the king that these fields of corn belong to the Marquis of Carabas, or he will have you all chopped up in pieces. Don't forget, when the king comes past, you must shout that out to the king." The men were so terrified with that, and that when the king came driving by, they assured him that these fields that they were working in belong to the Marquis of Carabas. Then Puss ran fast off past a fine farm, and he called out to the farmer. He said to him, "Tell the king that this land and all these animals here belong to the Marquis of Carabas. If you don't, you will be chopped up into little bits." "Oh yes, most certainly," answered the farmer in great alarm. I will do just as you say." The king, for now, was very impressed when he heard this, and he decided that the Marquis of Carabas must be a very rich man. Then Puss was well ahead of the king, and now he came to a castle, and in that castle lived a cruel giant. Most of the people had been so frightened, but not the cat. He came to the cruel giant and said to him, "Is it true that you can change yourself into anything you like?" "I certainly, that is true," boasted the big giant. "Oh, to me that sounds impossible," said Puss. Please show me how it's done." And in a moment, the giant turned himself into a lion. Oh, this did alarm the Puss. He jumped out of the window, and then he continued the conversation from the roof until the big giant became his right shape again. Be careful, rather be careful. "That was certainly clever," said Puss. But I suppose you could be more it would be more difficult if you can turn yourself into something small, perhaps a mouse." Oh no, I think that I don't expect it that you can do that. I think that's impossible to do." Now the big giant growled at the Puss, and he was very angry, and he said, "You must think I'm stupid, and there's no match that I can't change myself into. There's nothing easier. Just watch me." And the next minute, what did he do? In a flash, the giant became a mouse. "Ha! Ha!" laughed Puss. "Now it's my chance." And with a nibble, he jumped and caught the mouse and killed it. Puss had now nearly finished his plan. He ran quickly through the castle, telling all the servants that the big giant was dead, and the castle now belonged to the new Marquis of Carabas. So the Marquis of Carabas was the new owner, and all the servants were very happy because not one of them liked the angry giant. They were all scared of him. And then he said, "They were dancing and be happy." Right. Oh. Sorry. A little. Then Puss was waiting at the gate to greet the king, the princess, and Robin. "Oh, welcome, king! Welcome to the castle of the Marquis of Carabas," he cried, and he led them into the dining hall. There, all the servants was changed into smart clothes, and they all came along to serve the king and the princess. And of course, Robin, who was so surprised, he didn't know what was going on, with a wonderful meal. They've put a feast on the table. Robin didn't show his surprise, and they all had a fine banquet and soon was ready. Robin felt that it was time to ask the princess to get married. And so it was that a year later, Marcus, the Marquis of Carabas, who was actually Robin, was now asking the princess in marriage. They got married, and it was a very happy occasion. It was a grand feast, for Robin married the princess, and there was a great joy in the castle. And with Puss in Boots, he had an easier life from now on. All his plans was set out. He had made a success of what he wanted to do, and he only caught mice now for the sport, because actually he was fed on fish and bowls of creamy milk. And that is the story of the clever cat, Puss in Boots. So you must never underestimate a cat. Right, now I want to ask some questions. I want to ask you if it was a nice story. What do you think about the story? Okay, let me just get that again. Smaller screen. I'm just going to open the name. Sorry for that. I'll be with you in a minute. Okay. Oops. Okay. That's it. Right. Who wants to share something about the story? Raise your hand if you have to ask or tell something about the story. No one? Let me see. Chevelle, the Thunder, you always have something to say. Would you like to share something on the story? Did you enjoy it? I see no hands. Cody. Aha, Chevelle. And now the hands are coming up. Thank you. Right.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Okay, Cody. What do you think about the story?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask a question. Is the cat good or bad?
It was a good cat. Look, the big fortune he brought to his master. That poor Robin was as poor, he had nothing. And because his brother got the mole and the other brother got the donkey, so he only got the cat. But look at all the fortune that the cat brought him. The cat was a clever cat. So
Yes,
what do you think? Bad or good cat?
For me, I didn't read the full story, but for me, I can say it's a bad cat.
Why? You didn't get the full story. I think I must tell the story again so that you can see what is the moral of the story here. But thank you for your input. Musa, what do you think about the story? I hope you got the whole story.
I love it.
I love it too. It's one of my best stories too. Blessing, and what do you say about the story?
Ma'am, I wanted to ask a question.
Okay.
Ma'am, is Robin a man or a kid?
Robin is a young man. Robin is the young man, and the cat's name was Puss in Boots. Puss is like pussy cat in boots, okay? Because Robin had to make him nice boots, and he became, actually, it was a kind of magic cat. Understand better now?
Yes, ma'am. And I also know a movie about that cat.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Lusandu,
Hi, ma'am.
hi. What do you think? Lusandu, can you hear me? Have you got and share your meaning about the story, please, Lusandu?
Thanks. I love it.
Yes, okay. Could you get the whole one? Children, would you like teacher to quickly go through the story again? Or is there one of you that would like to retell the story? If you're brave enough now, please raise your hands. Then I can ask you to retell the story, but I'll show the pictures to help you the sequence to follow. Okay. Who would like to? Okay, let me see. Chevelle, I'm going to unmute you. Are you willingly to do that, Chevelle?
Ma'am?
Would you like to retell the story if I show the pictures?
Ma'am, it doesn't show the word.
No, but that's the thing. It's just the pictures. Okay, then I know what to do. I'm going to tell the story again. Okay, are you ready for that? Everybody, let's listen to the story one more time. Just for one better understanding. Okay, right. I have to move my picture all along. Okay, are you ready? Good. One day, there was a miller. He was not rich but poor, and he had 3 sons. The one's name was Jan, the other one was Hans, and Robin. When he died, he left his mill to the eldest, Jan. The donkey he left to his son Jan, but to Robin he left a cat. Okay. This was a very fine cat. But Robin knew that he had no money, and he was wondering what was he going to do for a living. So, and then he started talking to his cat. Didn't know that his cat was magic and could actually talk back to him. So he said to him, "Well, Puss, I'm very fond of you, but I can't even buy you food, fish, or milk." Then Puss answered him and he said, "Don't worry. I'm clever enough for both of us. If you just do as I say, you will be well. First of all, you have to go and make me a pair of strong boots and give me a hat and a sack." Robin didn't know what Puss was planning, but he trusted him. And then he gave and made him a little pair of boots. He found him a hat and an empty sack. Next picture. Well, this pair of boots will be very well. It will just do. And it's excellent. Now he put them on and then he took the sack and threw it over his shoulder. And then he set out on his trip. Robin watched him as he walked all along the lane towards an empty field. There, when he reached a spot, can you see, when he reached an empty piece of the field, what did he do there? He opened the sack and he propped it with a stick. When you prop something, you put a stick to keep it open. Then he went and he picked some parsley and he put it in the sack. And on the stick, he tied a long string. And he took the string he tied the string to the stick and he pulled the string to the far end where he was hiding under a bush. And after a little while, 3 rabbits came plumping and hopping towards the sack. And the one said, "I smell parsley." "Yes, it looks like parsley," says the number 2. And the number 3 said, "Let's find out." And pop went all 3 of them into the sack. And that was what Puss was waiting for. At that moment, he pulled the string and he got all 3 rabbits caught up in the sack. Then he jumped up, he flung the sack over his shoulder, and with the rabbits inside, he went off to the king's palace. And there he demanded to see the king. Oh, the man at the door was surprised to see a cat who ordered him to see the king. But he did so. He took the cat to the king's room. There he made a nice bow and he said, I brought you a present of some rabbits from my master, the Marquis of Carabas, your majesty. Oh, that is very kind and thank you, said the king. Give my compliments to your master. And here is a gold coin for yourself. Puss bought himself a fine coat, a smarter coat, and then he hurried back to Robin, his master. The next trick was clever. He had set up a trap in a wood and scattered grain onto it. Okay? So he took the same sack and he has scattered some grain this time in it. And what happened? 2 pigeons came along and they started eating the grains. Again, he pulled the string and he caught the birds. He took it to the king's palace again as a present from the Marquis of Carabas. A while after this, he heard the news that the king and his daughter were going in their couch and drive by the river. So he ran up to his master, that was now Robin the boy, and he said to him, okay, you are going to go to the river now. You make your way there. That will be tomorrow, and you are going to swim there. And if you do that, good fortune will come your way. And Robin followed the instructions. But while he was swimming, the little naughty cat took his clothes and he hid it under a bush. And when the coach of the king came past, he jumped into the road and he said, stop, stop. The Marquis of Carabas had his clothes stolen while he was bathing in the river. The king was upset, and then he at once sent his servants to his palace to fetch a nice grand suit for the Marquis of Carabas. And when Robin, I forgot to show the pictures, I'm sorry. Okay, there we are, the coach. Okay, and when Robin was dressed, he looked very handsome, and he thanked the king for his kindness. And what did this clever cat do? He ran ahead of the king's couch, and he went to the people working in the fields, and he told them, he said to them, you must tell the king when he passed by that this corn field where you are working belongs to the Marquis of Carabas. If you don't do that, you all will be chopped into pieces. They were terrified. And when the king came past, they assured him that these fields where they are working belong to the Marquis of Carabas. Now he ran past a fine farmer. A fine farmer is somebody who looks rich. You tell the king when he came past that all these animals belong to the Marquis of Carabas, or you will be chopped into bits. Oh yes, the man said, certainly, I will do as you say. And now when the king came past and all these people were telling him this about the Marquis of Carabas, he was pleased, and he decided for himself that this Marquis must be a rich man. Then Puss ran along, and he came to a castle. Now in that castle lived a cruel giant. The people were so scared of him, they called him the ogre. Most of the people will be so frightened that they didn't even want to talk to this big giant. But the Puss wasn't. He went straight to him and he said to him, Is it true that you can change yourself into anything you like? I certainly can. That is true. It sounds impossible, said the cat to him. Then please show me how it's done. And the next moment, the ogre turned himself into a lion. Whoo! Puss was alarmed, so he jumped up out of the window and he sat on the roof while he was now talking to this big giant. Right. Oh, that was clever. I can see you can. But suppose it would be more difficult to turn yourself in something smaller. Something like a mouse or a rat. Oh, I think I can't expect you to do that. That will be impossible. Now, the giant growled at him and he said, I'm not stupid. I can do anything I like. There's nothing easier for me. And the next minute he just said, watch me. In a flash, he became a mouse. Ha! That was what Puss was waiting for. He jumped on the mouse and he killed it. Then he was nearly finished with his plan. He ran now through the castle which belonged to the giant, and he was telling all the servants there, okay, Ogre is dead, and now you are going to serve a new master. Your master's name is the Marquis of Carabas. Hooray! They cried out. And the giant was a cruel man. We are glad to have a new master. And then the cat told them, prepare food for a big feast. The king is coming to visit the castle. He was waiting at the gate to meet the king, his daughter, and of course, Robin, who was still driving with him in his nice suit. Then he shouted out to the king, he said, welcome to the king's castle. This belongs to my master, the Marquis of Carabas. You are all welcome to come to the dining hall. A feast has been prepared for you. Robin didn't know what was going on, what he was playing along. And after this feast was done, the servants were delighted to serve the master. And about a year later, there was another happy occasion because Robin married the princess and there was great joy in the castle. And Puss, the cat, what happened to him? Now he took life more easily from now on. He just caught mice every now and then for the sport because he was nicely fed on rich, creamy milk and fish. And that was a happy ending for all of them. So they were not poor again. A good story, isn't it? Now, this is my takeaway message. Reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. Clever, isn't it? And with that, my dears, I hope you enjoyed today's story. And then we will see each other on Monday at the same time. And then our new work will start with work. We will work again on Monday. So that today was just a time to relax. Enjoy it. See you again. Bye. Bye. Chanel, miss, we are still on. Is there, I see your hand is still up. Are you happy now? Is there something you want to ask me quickly before I'm going to log out?
No, ma'am.
Okay, nothing. So is everyone happy?
Yes, ma'am.
I see we can still have a chat if you want to. If you have really something to say, we can have a chat, even if there's questions. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to end the meeting. Bye.